The Apartment Gurus podcast is brought to you by Greenlight Equity Group, an apartment acquisitions and holdings firm co-founded by Carl York and Tate Siemer, host of this show. We offer you the opportunity to be an owner of cash-flowing, wealth-growing apartments without the headaches of being a landlord. These assets are recession-resistant, risk-mitigated, offer significant tax advantages, and are a great alternative to the stock market. Ready to check it out? Go to www.investwithgreenlight.com today to book a personal consultation with Carl or Tate. Again, that's investwithgreenlight.com. We look forward to meeting you. Welcome to The Apartment Gurus, where twice a week, host Tate Siemer brings you deep dive interviews with the wisest gurus in the apartment investing industry. These experts are sure to create game-changing value and inspiration designed to catapult your business to the next level. Be sure to reach out to Tate at www.investwithgreenlight.com for access to his investor portal and Calendly link. And now, here is Tate Siemer and the Apartment Gurus.
Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of the Apartment Gurus podcast. Coming to you from northern Michigan right now. And there's a little series of episodes that's going to come at you from our basically our lake house and my family's lake house in northern Michigan, where it's nice and cool. And we've got a beautiful beach setting that we get to hang out at. And I'm very, very grateful. And it's the whole lifestyle by design, just being able to do this sort of thing remotely and to run my business remotely for the most part is a real blessing. And I'm really excited today. I've got a buddy of mine on the show, Jason Wright, with Intentionally Inspirational Marketing. That's the name of the company, is Intentionally Inspirational. Is it marketing, Jason?
It's just intentionally inspirational.
Intentionally inspirational. Perfect. And he is a real guru in the space of email marketing and essentially digital, all things digital marketing, and is a fellow member of a capital raising mastermind that we're both in. That's how we got connected. And he's already working with some clients of mine in the multifamily octane mastermind group. And I think there's going to be a few more of us signing up here shortly. So Jason, super stoked to have you on the show, and can't wait to dive into all of your expertise and knowledge here.
Sounds great, man. I'm excited to be here. And I'll just say, I told you before the show, but I love where you're at. Northern Michigan is such a beautiful place, especially in the summertime. So enjoy that, my friend.
Yeah, it's like perfect weather 2 months a year, right? It's the flip season. Yep. The flip season's pretty rough, man. Super short days and icy lakes, but man, the summer, middle of the summer is just perfect. So I feel very blessed. But dude, give us a little, thumbnail into you, your background, and how you got to doing Intentionally Inspirational, and what you're up to today.
Yep, let's do it. So nearly 8 years ago, I was working for a family-owned bakery, and a super successful family. But like the old guy who started the company, I noticed, he's not that nice of a guy. He's not that bright. Like, there's nothing really special about him. And he's built this huge empire. Nothing against him, but it's like, surely I can work for myself to get some control over my time. Like, I'm tired of commuting. I'm tired of other people limiting my creativity and my freedom. Like, I'm going to do something about this. So I got my wife on board, convinced her I was going to quit my job and start these neighborhood magazines. Well, in about 2 months, we ran out of money. Didn't work at all. Had to ask an aunt to help buy us groceries, pay our bills. So it got us into a really financial spot, and ended up having to go back to corporate. During that process, I started this company, Intentionally Inspirational, and I thought I was going to be a motivational speaker. I thought I was going to encourage people to quit the 9 to 5, but I struggled with it a bit because I was like, I haven't even done so myself. So am I qualified to do this or not? So I kept doing it more for me than anything. And I noticed that I had a pretty small audience. So I learned a bit about marketing to get that message out there. Well, in that process, I discovered Upwork, and I actually began blogging and copywriting for money. So that's how I originally started making money, and quickly noticed there was a big demand for help with the same marketing programs that I was learning for myself. So that's kind of how I got into it. I was part-time for about 2.5 years. I've been full-time about 5.5 years now. So it didn't happen overnight. I didn't know what I was going to do from the beginning, but marketing quickly became the thing that I liked, that I was good at, that made sense. And then we fast forward to now, and we're focused on the back end of the sales funnel. We're active campaign specific, and for about 20 months, we've been working primarily with capital raisers. So it's been a really interesting ride so far. Met some great people, had some great opportunities, and it's a hell of a lot of fun. And like you said, the location independent lifestyle is great, but it is not for the faint of heart. There is some super low lows and some really tough challenges a lot of people don't see, but you know what I'm talking about. So there's me in a nutshell.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you a capital raiser yourself? How do you fit into that whole scene, the Raise Masters scene and whatnot?
Yep. So I originally joined Raise Masters for the digital marketing, right? To help the audience there. But talking to people like yourself each and every week for years and going to these events, you meet a lot of people and start to see what they see. So my wife and I became LP investors last year. We got one multifamily building in Chattanooga, 121 doors. Last November, we started another company called Wind River Equity Partners. So we're raising capital for a short-term rental fund. I'm talking to my first potential investor now. It's a buddy. He's got a nice amount of capital. He was wanting to put in the stock market. And I'm like, bro, hold up. Check out what we're doing first. And then once we get down to coastal Georgia, I'm interested in at least looking into some ideas I have with short-term rentals that we may set up or may not set up. But that world interests me. The capital raising is the piece for me personally that's most interesting as well.
Well, the whole adage about the riches are in the niches, right? Like you've really niched into this capital raising world, and you're kind of at this epicenter, if you will, of capital raising intellectual activity and not just intellectual, but like business activity and networking and this group that we're in called Raise Masters. And podcast, we have no official affiliation with Raise Masters other than I am a card carrying member and so is Jason. Definitely I'm a huge believer in it for what that's worth, and have a few of my one-on-one coaching clients and mastermind members have signed up and Raise Masters as well, which I am a huge proponent of. I think that raising capital has always been the kind of, whether or not people are really speaking to it, it's really the most important part of this business. And it's kind of the most critical for deals to get done. And if you can raise millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars, the opportunities will be there for you, right? Like that's a given. In really any market, I think, whether it's a upcycle, down cycle, et cetera. And as I think all of us tend to agree, probably not everybody that's listening, but there's definitely some opportunities here in the probably not so distant future that are going to be hitting the market from, distressed situations with debt and loans coming due and adjusting, et cetera, that you want to be ready for. And the ability to syndicate, right, bring capital together to come up with what you need in the way of equity to get a deal done, down payment and closing costs, fees, et cetera, is really everything to getting these big deals done. So if you can, just circle all the way back around, if you have what it takes, or you feel like you have what it may have what it takes to raise capital in this space, it might be worth considering just focusing on that, like just raising capital for other people's deals, even, which is a model that so many people have embraced. So, so little spiel there. Any thoughts come out of that for you, Jason?
I mean, I agree, man. I think, I talk to, I don't know, maybe 1,000 capital raisers a year between in-person and calls for what I do.
Wow. Yeah.
And the cool thing about it is I just get so much insight to where people's heads are at in the market. I think if you can raise money, you will never have a shortage of opportunities, partnerships, deals, especially if you have a decent personality. Like, there's some weird folks that I meet and I'm like, you're going to struggle raising money because you're just weird. But most people, if they have that ability to raise money, they're going to have a lot of opportunity. I hear this all the time. I'm deal rich and capital poor. And it's a real challenge. But for the people that are the other way around, it's like, man, they've got an extra edge on the rest of us because it does create a lot of opportunity. So,
yeah, for sure. Well, let's talk about what your superpower is, which is the all things digital marketing, and specific to, but really niched into this capital raising space, being Active Campaign specific. For listeners that may not know, Active Campaign is one of the, many CRMs out there. And a CRM's a customer retention system, or I think customer relations management, depending on who you're talking to, right? One of the unique things about Active Campaign is that it's also completely inclusive of everything you need to basically your entire email platform, right? Your email marketing platform. Think MailChimp or Constant Contact. Think of all those capabilities packed into a very robust CRM. That's what Active Campaign is. And it's an industry standard that capital raisers across the industry use these days. There's some movement towards some other stuff right now that I'm noticing, but it's still, Active Campaign still is the industry standard. So talk a little bit about, obviously what you see as the opportunity here, or even the necessity, right? Like, there's kind of, in my opinion, like, a lot of this stuff is like, just you have to have it. You have to have it in place. Like, the stuff that you provide and the services you provide, like, you either have to have somebody like you do it, or you have to figure it out yourself, or hire somebody else to do it. So, talk, from your perspective, Jason, talk about the importance of this in terms of investor relations and building that investor base.
So I feel like the importance of marketing automation for people raising capital is really like any relationship in life you care about. So I talk to people about this often. So, like, I'll use me for an example. When I met my wife, Carmen, the first time I saw her, I wanted to propose to her, but I didn't do it. We were both in college and at the peak of our game, so to speak. But I knew the importance of building some rapport. Let's get to know each other a little bit. And then I was fortunate enough to start dating her. And that's a normal process in in-person lives, right? It makes sense to everybody watching and listening. For some reason, many of us forget that when we go online with marketing and we're like, invest in my thing, book a call. And like, people are, some people will, but a lot of people won't. Because they're like, I don't know you. Who are you? What are you into? What are you about? So my point here is, when people get onto your list, for a lot of them, it is going to require touch points through email and two-way text. Two-way text is my favorite, to get them comfortable to get on a call. Once you have a call, if there's not a deal, if they're thinking about maybe signing up for your portal, or they're maybe thinking about investing, there's going to be more nurture required to give them the info they need. Again, they're feeling you out. They're more concerned with who you are and what you're about than the IRR. I promise you, there's good deals everywhere for people's money. And then once you get those investors, maintain those relationships so that if things go well in the deal, you're communicating that. If things aren't going well, being honest with that as well. And then hopefully you get those reinvestment dollars down the road as well. So once it begins, like any relationship in life, it's got to keep going, and it's got to require effort, and marketing automation helps with that. is very effective at that, and it's super scalable as well. So hope that kind of makes sense.
Totally makes sense. Since you brought it up, talk a little bit about two-way texting and why you're such a big fan of that. Really, I mean, what is it? First of all, how's it work?
Yeah. So when I say two-way text, it's just like the texting you do on your phone. You send a message, somebody can send it back. ActiveCampaign, as an example, has a one-way texting feature that's built in that really only has value as an outbound notification. Now, the thing that's weird about it, the people who get it think it's a real text and they reply. They don't know that you're never going to see that reply. They don't know that you can't reply back. So in marketing terms, one-way texting is good for notifications only. Two-way texting is great. We use a program called Sales Message. It integrates cleanly with ActiveCampaign. You can send messages from your ActiveCampaign automations. ActiveCampaign will record both sides of the conversation, which is great for those people that work with non-accredited investors to document that pre-existing relationship. But it's so effective if you write simple 1 and 2 sentence text messages, just like you would your friends and family. For example, hey, Tate, you see that email I sent you 20 minutes ago? Check it out. You're never going to think this is automated. This feels like a scam. It's never going to happen because it sounds like a normal dude talking, right? When people send blog posts and text, it's like, dude, nobody texts like that. They know it's marketing junk, and it creates a different experience. I feel like, and I have no data to back this up, just my own experience, I feel like the mindset of people in text is different than email. In text, people drop their guard. People book a call with me, and if they opt in for text, they get a message, and people just start talking. It happens all the time, every week. And I'm like, it's phenomenal that I don't know who this person is, and they're giving me all their background and their pain with marketing and why they booked a call. And I'm like, that's so cool to have that information before we even get on the call. So the open rates are very, very high. The engagement's very high. And if you look at your phone every day, I guarantee you're not getting a marketing text every day. It's just not that many people using it. Even still, email is a different story. We all get a lot of emails. Right?
Totally.
In some ways become desensitized to most emails. It's still important, but to just rely on email is a big mistake. So I love two-way text, very effective, and makes us a lot of money for sure.
Is there a requirement that people opt in before you're able to two-way text with them?
Yeah, and there's a big push right now, and I'm going to butcher the name. There's a regulatory agency called, 10DLP or something like that. or 10DLC, and basically it's a regulatory thing, and they're real big on compliance, and you have to register, and it's good because it's going to cut out a lot of junk, but your use case can still be marketing. We get people signed up with it all the time. And what we do is most of our texts come through Calendly. So Calendly has this great feature, right? And when you set up a call, you can make it an option that you can let them opt into text, and it'll remind them about the call. So when they opt in on that page from Calendly, it says this is for SMS, blah, blah, blah. So if they opt into that, you can kick them into ActiveCampaign, and Sales Message considers that a legit opt-in for text. Now, if you just have a form with a phone number field, that may or may not qualify. It's gray, and I'm seeing some people get those declined. But if you specify this is for SMS, you're good to go, right? And people can, with any text service, they can hit stop or unsubscribe, and they opt out. So we don't cold text people. It's a horrible idea. We get ours through Calendly or through any of our lead magnets where there's text. It literally says this is for SMS. If you want the lead magnet, we need something here. So we're very open about it. It works great. We use it for wait lists, and people owe us money and they've texted us before and we can't get them any other way. We'll text them that way. I actually have to text some people today just to get their attention. Hey, check your email, please. So it's a really, really good tool though.
Got it. And full integration with ActiveCampaign. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So talk, Jason, about like the need that you saw in the market when you created basically the scope of work or the menu of services that you now provide. Talk first about the need that you saw or see there, and then let's talk about the solutions that you do provide for those.
So the first big thing was once I kind of understood the process, because there's people that focus on equity, there's people that focus on debt. There's a lot of different angles with capital raising. And with any business, just from looking at my business, which is high ticket digital marketing, I know there's just different natural steps to the customer journey. So when I started to talk to people and listen and ask questions, and I realized, man, these people, and this is just capital raisers, they're largely not doing anything to nurture people to book a call. It's all focused on direct response marketing. It's like, here's a calendar. If you go to my website and want to book a call, do that. But otherwise, no one's going to book a call. So I was like, I know there's an opportunity there. I know that from the other work I've done. So that was the first thing I focused on. Then I would talk to people like you and go, okay, once you talk to an investor, then what happens? Like, what are the things? So I started to piece together what people were doing and what nobody was paying attention to. And I was like, okay, here's another thing we can help with. So it used to all be about that new potential investor. And then over time, I was like, so what are you doing for capital raises? And that was in the dinosaur days as well. So we nurture to get people on webinars and nurture them for soft commits and wiring money and signing paperwork and all these things now. So I see the opportunities where touch points can get people to move forward and nobody's doing it. So as you mentioned at the beginning of the show, it's been a very interesting experience because I essentially created my own niche and it worked.
Yeah.
The other stuff that we help with is like, we use marketing automation just to create simple reminders for people. So a lot of people are like, hey, I've got to keep in touch with these investors and these VIPs, but I just keep forgetting and I lose track of people. Just using marketing automation to say, hey, every 90 days, here's a reminder, make sure you've called this person. If you have, check the task complete. And if not, give them a call. Just simple ways to share information, whether it's with you or your team or whatever. So there's a lot of neat things you can do in that way as well.
Got it. Okay. So kind of start from, square one with what, like, I call this whole thing the flywheel. I heard, was this you that recently that used that term? Have you heard that before? Okay. Somebody that I respect, I thought it might've been you, used this term, the flywheel, for the marketing system with your click magnet, your landing page or funnel or website, whatever you want to call that, or however you want to contextualize that, with your CRM integration, with your automated drip email campaigns, and kind of the active campaign process from that point forward. That whole system, right, is like what everybody needs. It's what like capital raisers need to have that built for them, or they need to build it themselves. How do you meet that need for investors?
Yep. And I'll say this first, and you've seen this and heard this from me before, but they have not. So I explain as a flywheel. I just think of it as a funnel. I say, here's the three pieces of the funnel. We've got traffic, that's getting attention online or offline, pointing it to a page online. We've got the front end. Those are pages that people interact with. And we've got the back end. That's what happens after they join your list. So we focus on the back end specifically, but I've done all three for clients for years and years. I just do the back end now. So that's what everybody needs. The mistake that I made and I see every week is people focus on them in that order, right? Traffic. Okay, I'm going to go on social media and post and do all this stuff. Cool. You got attention online. What are you going to do with it? People are like, I don't know. So then like, I need a website. And they go build a website and they drive people to the website. I'm like, great, you have a website. Now what are people supposed to do? They can book a call. Okay, what if they don't? They can get an ebook. Okay, if they get an ebook, then what happens? Nothing. Yeah, so then they start to see, holy crap, everything is foundational around the back end. You got to think with the end in mind. And once I did that in my own business, we started making money. It was consistent. We started being able to really do some things. So my advice to anybody that will listen is focus on that funnel, back end, front end, then traffic. Once you get the back end and the front end set up, that traffic, that getting people in front of what you do, that part never goes away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. But you got to have the place to send everybody, right? Like you got to have that foundation, that call, essentially ability to put a call to action out there. Go to this place to download this asset, or something that looks a lot like that is what needs to be in place. And, if you're out there pounding the pavement without something like that, you're kind of wasting some time, because you're not going to be capturing everybody that, you're not capturing everybody that you could be.
It's like having a 5-gallon bucket with like 3 golf ball size holes in the bottom. Like you can move water with it, but there's a hell of a lot of waste on the way.
Yeah. That's great analogy. Yeah. So you specialize in the back end. So basically what, somebody that's starting from scratch comes to you, they don't have any of this. First of all, I definitely want to deep dive into what you do for them, but what are your suggestions to them at this point as far as front end development goes?
Yeah. So what I'll tell people is, I'll do my whole deal, do some web whiteboarding, that thing, but most of what I really do is education, right? I'm an educator, but I happen to work with capital raisers with digital marketing. So I want you to understand what I believe is the most helpful path to attacking this. And I want you to understand your options. So if somebody has nothing, and this scenario happens every single week, I have nothing. What I recommend to them, I say, whether if I ever talk to you again or not, this advice doesn't change. Get a back end, get a plan so that if you get Tate's information, you can see it, you can see where he came from, you have a way to store it. Then focus on either a website or landing page. And then once that's done, then it's time to do the social media and get people's attention because you actually have a plan on where they should go. So I do recommend that back end, front end traffic to a lot of people. A lot of people don't listen and they do it their way. Then they'll come back 6 months later or a year later or 2 years later. Like, hey, I have all these followers, but none of it helps me because I don't know what to do with it. So it's really good advice, I think, to frame their mind and remind them, I'm not just telling you this because I want to sell projects. Like I could care less if you buy from me. I wasted almost 3 years of my journey doing what you're about to do, and I'm trying to save you time and money. So you can do it your way, or you can listen to somebody who's done it a different way and been successful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that education piece is very passionate about it.
Yeah. And you're very good at it. So, I've been on your demos and some of your other intellectual stuff and the passion shows. So, okay. So once somebody's like, okay, good, let's do this, Jason, need you, want you, et cetera. What happens from that point forward?
Yeah, so I'll tell you, what people hire us for is really 4 things. It's strategy, it's architecture, it's training, and it's support. So do we do absolutely everything? Are we done for you? No, we're as done for you as we can be, and it still makes sense. So people hire us for that. We give them a great piece of clay. We give them a great foundation. They can mold and tweak as they figure out what they need to and want to in their business. So we pretty much utilize a couple package levels, 3 package levels, some a la carte upsells. And when people are ready to go, we point them to a cart page and say, hey, you pick what you want to do. You hit go when you're ready to pay, and we'll dive in from there. So all of that's pretty neat, actually. The back end automation and kind of fulfillment process is pretty cool, but it's a pretty painless process. There's going to be points in the process throughout the project where people get hung up. People get overwhelmed, and we know where those are going to be. So we have touch points and resources and things waiting because we've done this a bunch. We've worked with 137 capital raisers in the last 20 months or so, something like that.
Wow.
So,
yeah.
And 2 more coming in the next 24 hours. So it's something we get a lot of practice with. And as long as we keep listening and implementing where we need to, it just keeps evolving and getting better.
Go through those again: strategy, architecture,
training, and support.
Training and support. Yeah.
And we me, I love the screen share videos. It's the best way to train because it's like, hey, you watch this and then you can share this with other members of your team and they can learn as well. But I don't have to make the video 5 times, Is there a place that a listener could go see a video of yours, a demo or walkthrough? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you go to intentionallyinspirational.com, there's some different resources there. Getmorepassiveinvestors.com is a direct link to one of our landing pages, lead magnets. You can get that from the main website as well, but that is video based. You can see me doing exactly what I'm talking about there, and you might learn something as well. So that's a popular lead magnet of ours.
Getmorepassiveinvestors.com.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay.
Good domain name.
Yeah, it's a great domain name. Great domain name. All Awesome. Okay. So moral of the story here is like, I guess to kind of bring it full circle, I really like that you brought up two-way texting and just texting in general, early on in the show, because it does seem like the most immediate way of getting somebody's attention and getting them in communication with you. But really, the second way these days is still email, right? Still the highest open rate, and success rate and exposure rate in terms of comparing with other forms of communication, social media, et cetera. So just the massive importance on this. Let me ask you this: when you look across, the 100, how many did you say you've done? 140,
136 or 137, something like that.
When you look across all those investors, first of all, do you get an idea? Do you stay kind of finger on the pulse with some of those investors to kind of see how things go for them? And if so, what do you see in the successful ones doing well?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we have different plans. All of them include lifetime support. So the worst case scenario is we have a support inbox, which is still not bad because we're going to answer your questions forever. But the people that get the most out of what we do, or even if they hire somebody else, right? The people who use it, the people who go through the training and actually implement what we say and do it, those are the people that see results. And it seems obvious, but so many people don't do it. We have people who pay us and we never hear from them ever again, ever. Every year, we have people that donate to our foundation, which is just me being funny, that pay us and literally go ghost. And we never see any trace or proof that they're alive ever again. And I do not understand that. My wife and I, if we buy something, it's going to get used or returned. We don't just waste money on stuff, but some people do. Get it. Other people that struggle will be like, I'll get to it later. And they wait so long that they have to retrain on everything from the beginning. But people that are successful just do what we say. We tell you to do things in an order for a reason. We're trying to help you get the most out of your experience with us. So the people that actually go all in and do that, they get good results, right? They get improvements in their business for sure. So,
okay, got it. Okay, so walk us through just in conclusion here, what next steps are for somebody that wants to explore working with you on this and enlisting your services, Jason.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Just to take a little bit further run from what we talked about today, if you want to go to capitalraisingautomations.com, there's a 10-minute video there. It shows you a little bit more about what I'm talking about for capital raisers. And at the end of that, if you're interested, you can book a call with me. So that's really the point, is a little bit more education, kind of on what we're talking about, the chance to book a call. And if you want to book a call, it'll be video. I'll show you some things and you'll have the information to do whatever you want.
Perfect. Good stuff. Awesome, brother. Really appreciate you. I think I'd be remiss to not ask you about the name of the company. Talk a little bit about your. I kind of geek out on this stuff. I like to think that I live intentionally, for sure. I like to think that hopefully inspire people here and there to become better versions of themselves. You capture both those things in the name of your company. Talk a little bit about that vision for you.
Yeah. So the street I live on right now is called Gray Fox Drive. So the parent company is called Gray Fox Business Ventures, LLC. And I get that question a lot. What's the Gray Fox? Just my street. And a few months after doing that, I was asleep one night and I woke up out of a dead sleep, woke up my wife. She's like, what? I was like, Intentionally Inspirational. And she's like, what is that? I was like, I have no idea what it means, but it's going to change our life. So I literally got this name in my head in my sleep. I went ahead and set up a DBA. So it's the same legal company as Gray Fox Business Ventures. And I've stuck with the brand because when I look at it, I'm like, it says a lot about who I am and what I'm trying to build. And it's perfect the way it is. So I was always worried that people are going to see this and go, this doesn't make sense with marketing. I don't get it. It's worked freaking great, bro. I get on stage, nice. I speak, I get on shows like this and I speak, and it's taken a while, but it's all coming full circle. So it was kind of a big happy accident. I just trusted my gut from the beginning.
When you were originally you were thinking it was going to be motivational speaking centered business, or at least that was going to be a big component of it. What would you say, either back then that your message was, or even maybe more immediately, like what would you say your message is? Like if you could encapsulate it in a simple thumbnail.
Yeah, it's interesting. Really, the message I want to send out there to people is like, if you want more in life, you deserve it and you can have it, right? So everything goes back to mindset. And I've learned this lesson over and over. And it's not just in business, it's in life. So many times you'll hear people say, man, I've always really wanted to do this, but I'm not qualified or I'm not worthy. None of that stuff's true. None of it's true. People started labeling me an expert years before I'd ever call myself that. And I was like, oh, wow, I don't need 10,000 hours like that guy told me. They decide when I'm an expert. Interesting. So if you go after what you want and your heart's pure and you're doing it for the right reasons, you'll get there. The timeline's unknown, though. So there's my inspirational send-off to your listeners. But whatever they want to build in their business and their life, man, they're worthy and they can do it.
Love it. Love it. We'll leave it right there. That's a beautiful message to end this great session on. Jason Wright with Intentionally Inspirational. I really appreciate you being on the show, brother. And excited to work with you with my company, and excited for my coaching clients to be working with you and having you help us build our systems and build our investor relations program, so to speak. So thanks for all that you are and all that you do out there. And thanks for being on the show, bro. Appreciate it.
I really appreciate it, man. Thank you very much.
You bet. Yeah. Listeners, hopefully got a lot of out of this. Two-way texting, right? Like, get this stuff onto your radar and figure out a way to implement this stuff that Jason was just talking about. If you don't have this investor relations flywheel, funnel, whatever you want to call it, you got to get it. You got to figure out a way to either build it, have it built for you, some hybrid model. Like, it's just got to happen. So, definitely look up Jason and check out one more time on the capital raising funnel.
Capitalraisingautomations.com.
Thank you. That's it. Capitalraisingsautomations.com, guys. We'll leave it at that. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your work day, work week, and we will see you on the next episode of The Apartment Gurus. Take care, everybody.
This has been The Apartment Gurus with Tate Siemer. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a rating and review on your favorite podcast platform. To contact Tate, go to www.investwithgreenlight.com for access to his investor portal and Calendly link. He loves to hear from you and thanks you for being a valued listener. Just a reminder that you are the guru. See you on the next episode of The Apartment Gurus.